Mama's in Control, episode 294. Let's dive deep into feeling good enough. Okay, ladies. So, have you ever heard me talk about belief systems, limiting belief systems? This is not, I don't want to say rocket science, but in the self-help world, we've all heard of limiting beliefs, right? It's those things, those stories inside of us that keep us from moving forward, sabotaging ourselves. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't do enough for my children. I'm not a good mother. I'm not a good wife. I'm not a good friend. I'm a shitty ass business owner. I am just never enough. I'm lazy. I can't do it all. Well, guess what? That's pretty low vibration, right? There's no possibility in that. There's no empowerment in those thoughts. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that this part feels good, that this part is easy, because it's not. It's not. And there's a lot of research showing how unconscious our unconscious beliefs are. Depending on how even if you had the perfect, okay, so this is all of parenting, I believe. There's so much fear in parenting that is sprinkled on top of the limiting belief of I am not enough. And this was totally me. A lot of women that I work with, not so much that I work with, but in general, women that I see out in the world, overachievers, high achievers, it's like, why are you working yourself so hard, right? Because I don't feel like I'm enough. Because I'm afraid. Well, what are you afraid of? I'm afraid that my children are going to feel the way that I did as a child because my mother wasn't there for me. Therefore, I work twice as hard as my mom did because I don't ever want my children to feel the way that they felt. So what's happening there, right? On the outside, it looks like things are fine, right? You're over providing for your children. And on the outside, it looks great, but you're coming from a place of fear. You're coming from a place of overcompensating for this unmet wound inside of you. So then when you start to pull back the curtains, what is that, right? It's not your achievements, because you're like, yeah, that's fine. You keep pulling back the curtains and you're like, I don't think that I'm enough, like who I am in the world. Like, I don't feel like I am enough just being me, doing what I want to do on a daily basis. Even if that is reading a book and doing a little gardening and making a meal and putzing around. I don't feel like that's enough. Not because your soul is craving more. Your soul isn't craving more. You're like, I am content, but I still don't feel like I am enough. So what happens is we try to overcompensate. And then as we're overcompensating, we're doing more and more and more and more, and we're burning ourselves out because there's this limiting belief, this little pull inside of us that's saying, you are not enough, you are not enough. So you work harder and harder and harder if you're, that overachiever type. Or you go in the opposite direction and go down this deep depression of like, I am not enough, I have no purpose in the world. Somebody said something to me today, and we were talking about business, and she said, Heather, you have this confidence and you value yourself enough to charge what you're worth. And I said, this has nothing to do with charging what you're worth. I actually think that is the dumbest statement ever that people have made in sales. Because my business, even though I am the brand and I am, the one who delivers the message, I am not my product. What does that mean? The results that my clients get are based on their actions. Their success is not mine to own. Their success is not mine to own. And that's another slippery slope, right? Because if I attach my success to my identity and my self-worth to somebody else's success, that's a slippery slope. Because then when they fail, that means I failed. A lot of people do this with their children. If my child failed, then that means I failed. No, it doesn't. Their failure and their success is not yours to take ownership of. So when I'm charging for a product or a service in my business, I'm charging that because of the quality and the value that people are going to gain from the experience. Not because I think that's what I'm worth. Because to be honest, I think we are all priceless, and you cannot put value on a product or service that you provide. Of course, it needs to be in alignment. But this woman was talking about money and investing yourself. And I said, listen, if I charge somebody $1,000 or $2,000 or $20,000, that is going to be in direct alignment to, one, the value, two, their energetic commitment to receiving the results that they desire. But if I gave you my mastery program 100% free, you would not show up the same way as somebody who pays for it because you are not energetically invested. This is why we need to charge, right? So when she said that to me, I thought about this has nothing to do with money. The conversation had nothing to do with money, but she was allowing money to be the smoke screen and saying, I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I said, pull that shit back. At the core of this is you don't feel like you're enough. And you're projecting this limiting belief and it's seeping out through your business. So let's circle back to this I am enoughness. I've started to notice this. First of all, I used to do this all the time in my parenting, overcompensating in my parenting, that when something negative happened or my child had anxiety or my son, the school called and I was like, oh my gosh, this is all me. This is my fault. I am not enough. I didn't provide enough. I didn't do enough. I yelled yesterday. Oh crap, it's because, I didn't give him vegetables every night this week. His brain is probably shrinking. Damn it, did he have his 8 glasses of water? Oh, frick, we didn't read. It is my fault. It's all my fault. Never allowing my child to take ownership for any of his actions. Do you see how your limiting belief of I am not enough seeps in to every aspect of your life? In that you are taking way too much ownership for other people's emotions because of your limiting belief, because it's projected, right? It's being mirrored back to you. So I had a friend the other day say something to me. I just, pointed out something. And this individual talked about a boundary that she wanted to create in her life and that it was really, really hard for her because she knew that she was going to upset other people. And she said, I've come to this point in my life where loving myself, I have to create these boundaries around certain people. And I said, go do that. Go do that. And she said, but what if they're mad at me? And I said, but you are enough. You have to have this inner conviction, and it doesn't happen overnight, but you have to have this inner conviction of, it's okay if I turn my computer off at this time. It's okay if I don't respond to those text messages right away. It's okay if, I look at my email once a day and people want me to respond ASAP. No. We need to start creating these healthy boundaries in our lives and say, I am enough. Now, everyone's going to want to know, but Heather, what specific action steps can I take to get rid of this limiting belief of I am not enough? And there's no magic pill, unfortunately. I'm sure they probably have some on the market that you can go to the pharmacy and ask them for, and we'll see how that goes. And there'll be side effects of worthiness and low libido and fatigue and gaining 20 pounds of hormonal whatever. I don't freaking know. But there probably is a magic pill out there. If you find it, please let me know. Because I've literally tried to rub dog shit all over myself because some shaman told me to. They're saying, if you do this, this limiting belief will immediately leave your aura in your body. And guess what? It didn't work. That was a joke, by the way. But in certain times in my own personal development journey, I probably would have did that because I was willing to do anything to tiptoe around the discomfort of what it feels like to get rid of a limiting belief. So are you ready? You ready for the secret, guys? All right. You can write checks to Heather Chauvin. You ready for this? You got to go through. You got to challenge the belief and the story. You cannot run away from it. You cannot avoid it. You cannot tiptoe around it. You need to get that sweat. You need to want to vomit and crap your pants at the same time. And you need to challenge the belief in the story. So when you say to somebody, no, thank you. No, thank you. I'm choosing me today. I am enough. And sometimes that person that I'm talking to is me. I'm looking at Heather in the mirror and saying, you know what, Heather? You did enough today. Yeah, you got that one more thing on your to-do list. And if you listen to some masculine go-getter #hustle podcast, they're going to tell you to just push a little bit more. Push, 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 push. But when do we stop with the pushing? When? When we're dead, 6 feet under, and I'm sure somebody else will tell you that too. I'm sure I could run a marathon every single day if my life depended on it. I know the capacity for human potential. It's abundant. It's endless. We are always capable of more. Always. But at what point do we say and look in the mirror and go, you know what? I am really pushing myself lately, and I am enough. I am enough. I'm enough, and I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to chip a few things off my list. And when I'm working with my ladies and they're saying to me, oh, I'm just not enough. Oh, I have so much on my to-do list. I can't get this all done. And I'm like, shut up. The only person putting pressure on you is you. And if somebody else is putting this pressure on you, then rip your to-do list in half and pass off half of it to them and say, you do it. The only person putting pressure on you is you. You are enough. And there's this internal beautiful place that happens when you combat that limiting belief of like, I am not enough. Who am I? Who am I if I'm not hustling all the time? Who am I if I'm not, chasing my kids around, overscheduling them, going from appointment to appointment to activity? Who am I? What if I swore one too many times? What if I didn't read enough books? What if, oh my gosh, what if all of our food wasn't organic? What if I exposed them to some pesticide? What if I didn't, have enough freaking vitamin C while they were in utero? What if you are enough? Worry is a prayer for what you don't want. What is the opposite? Gratitude. Gratitude. Your brain will always default to, I am not enough. I am not enough. But what did you do right today? What did you do right today? So I'm in the process of putting together a 90-day course for you guys, and probably within the next few podcasts, I'm going to have a wait list. It's a beta program, and it's going to be all around the energetic time management piece. So just keep your ears open for that. But I've been thinking a lot about, there's 90 days left of the year, I think. Yes. And, reflecting on what I wanted to accomplish this year, where I'm at. And, my goals are still there. I'm definitely I'm always a seeker. I'm an ambitious go-getter. My drive is still there. But one thing that I've learned this year is like going after it with grace and grit, but being realistic, if that makes sense. So let's just say in the next 90 days, I'm like, okay, I'm going to write a book, right? I've been wanting to write a book all year. This has been a big game changer for me. I've been wanting to write a book all year, and creativity, actually it was this time last year where I was like, okay, I'm going to have my book proposal done. And I kept thinking, what book am I writing? What book am I writing? And, I got some support and I got more clarity, and then that led to something else, and that led to something else. And there's been a lot of creative layers being pulled back. And, my ego was pissed off. And I thought, Heather, just because you have it written down that you're, in the next 90 days, you're going to complete this book proposal, doesn't mean that you're a failure. And it also doesn't mean that it was supposed to happen in this time. Maybe the first, 3/4 of the year, you were supposed to get some clarity on something, but my goal was too big. So instead of having the big goal of, getting a book proposal complete, maybe a little smaller goal would have been to get clarity on what book I'm writing. So I see this all the time with people. They're like, okay, all right, I'm just, we're going to bang this out and we're going to work on everything all at once. And I'm like, no, like pick one area of your life that you want to focus on and be diligent with that. And they're like, but it's this and it's this. And oh my God. And I get it. When you make a commitment to something, you open a freaking can of worms. And then all your shit comes up. It's like all of a sudden you've opened that closet and everything falls out. It takes time, especially when you've avoided it for decades. It takes time to sort through that shit. And if you always thought you were never enough then, oh my gosh, do you know what's going to happen when you're facing your biggest demon in your face, the belief of I am not enough, and you've carried that with you for like 30 years? You got to work through it slowly. So the magic pill is you got to show up for it every single day. And the sad reality is people want it gone ASAP. So they drink it away, they smoke it away, they have sex, too much TV, too much social media, food. Some actually over exercise, over socialize, use motherhood and their children as an excuse, get in arguments with other people and cause drama, all to avoid doing the work. I know. Sometimes I'm not fun. You are enough. Your failures, your successes, your marks, your dimples, everything. The positive, the negative. Is there such thing as negative? The ups, the downs, all of you. You are enough. And I want you to surround yourself with people who know and believe that you are enough. Yes, you can surround yourself with people who will kick your ass and say, I know you can do better. Because it's one thing to say, you are enough now. I see and accept you for who you are, and I love you for who you are today, but I know you can do better. There's a difference of just saying, even if I failed today, even if it all went away, did I do my best? Am I enough? And I think this is the ultimate question that we're asking ourselves as humans. It brings me back to that moment when I thought I was going to die in the hospital. It gets me a little emotional. And I thought, was I enough? Was I good enough? Did I teach my children enough? And at that point, the answer was no. I wasn't. I didn't feel done. Today, I'd say yeah. If I had to go today, I would be okay with that, knowing that life is enough. I had to do a lot of work to get here. But I don't feel like my time is done. So there's a difference between not feeling enough. It's like every day is this extra sweet spot. So what do? I write a lot. I journal a lot. And when that story is triggered inside of me of like, I am not enough, I didn't do enough, oh, poor me, I'm a bad person, I'm a mean person. I used to carry that story around for a long time. I just write it out. Is it true? Is it true that you're a mean person? Do you absolutely know that you're a mean person? And I talk to that mean girl. I write her letters. It's like you got to pluck it out. It's like you're digging through the soil. You are enough. This is at the core of all of your suffering. You are fucking enough. That's all I got to say to you. All right, guys, I'm going to leave you with a quote from Brene Brown. And then this Sunday, last day to apply for Mamas in Control Mastery. So if you are ready to dive in, you're so done with the struggle, you want to stop yelling, you want to feel abundant, you want to learn these tools and strategies, you want to get the one-on-one support. You won't be getting this any other time from me throughout the year. The 90-day program that I have coming up is a group coaching program. Definitely going to be a game changer. But if you want the next level after that, now is your opportunity. So head on over to mamasincontrol.com. It's an 8-month intensive coaching experience. We're going to be diving into all areas of your life, helping you create the vision that you want. What do you want? How do you want to feel? And then I'm going to show you and hold you accountable to implementing that vision. How do you want to feel as a mother? How do you want your relationship with your children to be? And Brene Brown says, daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others. All right, guys, mamasincontrol.com. I look forward to reading your applications. Talk soon.